Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson. My name is Trish and today I will be tutoring you mathematics. So our agenda for today is BODMAS. Today we will be learning the concept of BODMAS, various types of brackets that are used in BODMAS, and we will also be solving equations using the BODMAS rule. Before we start, I would just like to say, I hope you guys were able to learn something from the first part of our mathematics lesson, which was tutored by Anis, as it will definitely be beneficial for today's topic. Okay, so BODMAS basically stands for bracket of, or commonly known as orders, which are square root, cube root, powers, followed by division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Before we get started, I would just like to explain to you what is BODMAS and why we use it. Okay, so BODMAS is usually used to solve questions that require more than one process to get your answer. So let's look at this for an example. 5 plus 6 multiplied by 4. So you might simply say that we just move from left to right. So we would do addition first and then only we do the multiplication. But that is actually wrong, and that is where BODMAS comes into play. It teaches you the correct order to solve equations so that you will be able to get the correct answer. So the BODMAS rule. It's very simple to understand actually. You just need to remember this BODMAS. There are 3 rules. The first is that you must always solve or simplify the equations inside the bracket. After that, you may move on to orders. And as I mentioned earlier, orders are things like powers, square roots, cube roots, etc. And then only you may move on to solving the division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction that is in your equation. Let's take a look at this equation here. 2 multiplied by 4 plus 5 minus 2. So how would we solve this? Okay, following the BODMAS rule, you must always solve the brackets first. So we would simplify the numbers inside of this bracket. 4 plus 5 equals to 9. So our equation will now look like this. 2 multiplied by 9 minus 2. Okay, so the next step in our BODMAS rule is multiplication. So you go 2 multiplied by 9, you will get 18. So now our equation will look like this, 18 minus 2. And your final answer will be 16. So if you would like, you may try to solve this without using the BODMAS rule and see if you get the correct answer. But you will not, because you will only get this answer 16 if you follow the BODMAS rule. All right, let's look at another equation. Here we have 50 divided by 5 multiply 4 minus 2. We don't have any brackets in this equation, but we do have division, multiplication, and subtraction. So here's how we would solve it. Again, in the BODMAS rule, you must do division first before you do addition or subtraction. So we would do 50 divided by 5, which is 10. So now our equation will become 10 multiplied by 4 minus 2. So 10 multiplied by 4 is equals to 40. Next, 40 minus 2, our final answer is 38. Is everything clear so far? The BODMAS rule is very simple once you understand the basics and the concept of it. Okay, let's move on. Understanding brackets. Now, in BODMAS, there are 3 types of brackets, which are round, square, and curly. And if you notice, the brackets will always come in a pair, which is this opening bracket and the closing bracket. So you may be wondering, why do we need 3 types of brackets? I will show you that example in the next slide. But first, let me just explain to you the rules of brackets. you must always solve from the inside out. So in the first level, or the most inner level, you will always solve the equations that are inside the round brackets, and then it will be the square brackets, and then it will be the curly brackets. So let me show you an example to make things easier. Okay, look at this equation here. If we were to just use one type of bracket, the equation would look much more complicated, and we would not be able to tell which is the opening and closing of the equation. But if we were to use different types of brackets, you'll be able to see that this is the first level, this is the second level, and this is the third level. So let's try to solve this. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the rules of brackets is that you must solve from the inner to the outer. So, or to make things more simple for you to understand, you must always solve the round brackets first, and then move on to the square brackets, and then finally the curly brackets. Okay, so 2 plus 1 equals to 3. Now, this is what our equation will look like. So we move on to the next level, which is solving the square brackets. So here we have 4 multiplied by 3, which equals to 12. So next we have 12 minus 3, which is equal to 9. Okay, moving on to our last bracket, which is the curly bracket. 2 multiplied by 1 plus 9, we will do the brackets first. 1 plus 9 equals to 10. Finally, 2 multiplied by 10, you will get 20. So let's try to solve some equations together. If you have a pen and a paper or pencil, please take it out, and you may pause the video once I show you the questions and take as much time as you need to answer the questions. Then once you're done, you may come back to the video and check and see if the way that you have solved the question and your answer is correct to mine. Okay, here are the 3 questions. First, 2 plus 3 multiplied by 6 minus 1. Okay, our second question is 12 minus 4 divided by 2. Our last question here is a bit long. We have 3 multiplied by, in brackets, 4 plus 4 multiplied by 5 divided by 2 plus 7 minus 8. So you may pause the video now, take your time, and come back when you are ready to check the answers. Let's look at the answers. So for the first question, we have 2 brackets here, which we will be solving from left to right. So the first bracket is 2 plus 3. Our answer is 5. Next, we will multiply by our second bracket, which is 6 minus 1. So 6 minus 1, our answer will also be 5. So our last equation will be 5 multiplied by 5, which is 25. And that is our final answer. Okay, the second question. We have 12 minus 4 divided by 2. So the BODMAS rule tells you that you must divide before you multiply, add, or subtract. So let's do the division first. 4 divided by 2 equals to 2. So our new equation will look like this. 12 minus 2, and your answer will be 10. Okay, the third question. 3 multiplied by, in brackets, 4 multiplied 5 divided by 2 plus 7 minus 8. Okay, so we will solve our brackets first. 4 times 5, you will get 20. So our new equation will look like this. 3 multiplied by 20 divided by 2 plus 7 minus 8. So the next you will do is the multiplication. So 3 multiplied by 20 is equivalent to 60. And then divided by 2 plus 7 minus 8. So 60 divided by 2 equals to 30 plus 7 minus 8. So let's simplify this. 30 plus 7 equals to 37 minus 8. Your final answer will be 29. Okay, so just a quick summary of today's class. We learned what BODMAS stands for, which is bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Next, we learned about the BODMAS rule and which order we need to follow. So, we must always start with solving or simplifying the numbers inside the bracket, and then we move on to orders. As I mentioned, it's things such as powers, square roots, or cube roots. And then we move on to division and multiplication, followed by addition and subtraction. And finally, we also learned 3 types of brackets today: round brackets, square brackets, and curly brackets. And the rule of bracket is that you must always solve from inside to outside. So round bracket first, square bracket, and then finally curly brackets. Okay, before I end today's class, here are some questions I have prepared for you to try and see if you are able to understand and use this concept of BODMAS. So please try out these questions when you guys have the time. Okay, we're done for today. Thank you guys for your attention, and I hope that you learned something that is useful and beneficial for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.